Hi everybody. So the Bumps in the Night series is over, and we are going to start talking about some topics that have been brought to my attention throughout my life and throughout the series. And the first thing that we're going to talk about today is shadow people. Shadow people are known as shadow ghosts, and they derive from folklore and paranormal popular culture. They're humanoid forms, which means that they appear to, when they do appear to people, they appear in a human stature or a human form. There are real world possibilities for shadow people. Scientists have indicated that some of the possibilities are derived from sleep paralysis, illusions, hallucinations, drug use, sleep deprivation. All of those are differential diagnosis for shadow people, if you will. Just because you see something doesn't mean that it's real. There are a number of explanations that could go along with it, which we will get into as we delve deeper into these subjects. One of those subjects in the far future will be orbs. But for now, we're going to talk about shadow people. And I have had some people write to me and share their experiences with shadow people. But I kind of wanted to give you a background of the research that I've done. I have never actually encountered a shadow person per se. I don't know that I would want to do that. There are controversial differences on whether they're of a positive form or whether they're negative, but I cannot speak to that because I have never experienced it. Heidi Hollis actually brought awareness to shadow people through her radio show. Shadow people have been described as violent supernatural creatures, often of a menacing nature, which is what I just said as to the controversial topic of whether they're positive or negative energy. But there is no scientific statistical study that has proven this. In other words, no one has done a case study, no one has done an experiment to see whether the entities are positive or negative. Chad Stamball, and I apologize if I have incorrectly pronounced the name, was an author, and he actually recorded footage of shadow people. Shadow people are often said to be a fleeting shape, often seen out of the corner of your eye. However, recent reports and in the last few years, it seems like the shadow people are being less shadowy. They're becoming bolder, if you will, and they're sharing themselves for longer periods of time with straight on experiences, as opposed to someone just kind of seeing something float out of the corner of their eye. They're becoming much more bold. Some people have described shadow people quite terrifyingly. Red eyes, foreboding. One recorded incident was that a paranormal investigator took her son with her to an on-site investigation at a cemetery, and he described seeing a shadow person and later experienced possession. Now, whether that's coincidence or whether it's not, I'm not sure, but his mother believed that his exposure to the shadow people is what led to his possession, and that it was not coincidental, and that once her son was vacated, she quit paranormal investigating. She felt like she was putting herself and her family in harm's way by doing that. And that's the one thing about paranormal investigations, you never know what you're going to walk into. and you never know what you're going to walk away with. And we have discussed that in previous episodes of Bumps in the Night. But being a paranormal investigator, you have no idea what situations you're going to encounter. And that's why I always advise everyone to do a prayer of protection before you walk into a situation. Pray throughout the whole entire investigation, and then pray a prayer of not only protection, but almost a shaking off prayer, so that you can detach from whatever it is that might have tried to attach to you during the investigation. Like I said, I've had no personal experiences with shadow people, nor do I care to. And you need to keep in mind that I've had only two honestly, I've never even seen anything that would resemble a shadow person, come to think of it. However, I don't think this was a shadow person, what I'm getting ready to share. In my house once, it was morning, and the way my house is set up, like I am in my home office right now, and then across the hallway is my laundry area, and it's not like a room, it's behind folded doors. And then down the hallway on this side of me is my son's room. On the other side of the hallway is mine and my husband's room. And the way the bed is set up, I can sit up in bed or lay down in bed, and I can see straight out into the hallway. And as you can see, there's light coming through this window. And that's similar to what happened that morning. There was light coming through the window. This door was open. And I remember seeing, like when you are walking past a room where there's light coming through that doorway, there will be a shadow. It'll be a void in the light. And that is what happened that morning. I was awake. It was in the summer, and we were getting ready to go to the zoo that morning, and everybody else was asleep. My son had camped out in our room. My husband was asleep. We have a dog. The dog was in our room. And I remember seeing that void, like as if something was walking through the hallway and passed in front of the office door. I did not get a negative feeling at all. I didn't get a negative feeling at all. Like I said, everyone in my house was asleep. I really truly felt like it was one of my spirit guides, walking through the house, checking everything out, making sure everything was okay. I also remember right when I started delving into this new life of mine, I was sitting in the living room, and the way our living room is set up, it's one large room, and then you have a galley kitchen. And I was sitting in my recliner, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a light. And I knew immediately that it was a spirit guide. And I did not feel threatened or anything like that. But as far as experience with shadow people, I personally do not have that experience. A close friend of mine shared with me that he had experienced shadow people. And I'm going to read directly from the correspondence that I received from that person. It said, "I saw your post about shadow people. When I was living with my parents during my teen years, I had several experiences with them. One was of the most frightening experiences of my life. I used to see them in our backyard. One of the ones I saw was tall and in the shape of a man, but the scary incident was one night while everyone was asleep, I woke up suddenly. And I had this intense feeling that I shouldn't turn around, but I did. There was something kneeling beside my bed. It was black, like a silhouette. It was physically there, but wispy. It appeared to have spiked hair, and even though that was the only physical it appeared to have spiked hair, And even though it was the only physical detail, it gave off this energy that made you feel scared and sick all at once. I didn't hear myself scream, but my mom came in my room, flipping on the light, and it was gone. Now, I am personally familiar with the person who wrote me this correspondence. And we grew up together, and we played together at his house as well as mine. And I will tell you that the area that he lives in is very haunted. As children, we would see things or feel things. We were both very clairvoyant. His room, I never did like going in his room. It was in the back part of the house. And we usually played like in a bedroom off the living room. And he used to tell me about things that happened to him in that house. Very supernatural, scary things. We knew that there was a presence there as little kids. But like I said, that area of that county that he and I both grew up in, that area was intensely haunted. And there were a lot of negative energies in that area. So that's one experience that someone shared with me. Another experience that was shared was a young lady said that when she lived in Ohio, which is where I currently live, she was always in the shower and she would see a shadow cross while she was in the shower, that void of light, as if something solid has passed in front of it. She said that lately she's been seeing shadow people in the area that she's currently living in, and it's mostly after dark. But she doesn't really have a particular take on what she feels shadow people are. I have some other correspondence, but it's going to be more towards the ghosts. A lot of people don't realize that there's a distinct difference between shadow people and ghosts. They're very different. Ghosts are living souls. They were once human beings, and they're either trapped or they've chosen to stay here, or they've checked in on the other side and they've come back. Shadow people are not human. They do not have a human soul. They do not possess human features. They are, and this is why my theory says that they're dark spiritually, because they do not possess a human soul. The human soul can either be filled with light or it can be filled with evil. And a prime example of that is Adolf Hitler. Hitler, if anybody believes in possession, I believe that that particular human being was possessed. Anyone, and there are several people, a lot of people say they're the Antichrist, which is probable. But anybody who can commit those kind of acts to any other human being, there's got to be a disconnect there somewhere. And that is my personal opinion. But if you can exterminate or try to exterminate an entire race of people, that's a problem. And that tells me that your soul has either been possessed by something that's not human, or you have lost your way in the worst way. So what's the verdict? What are shadow people? I honestly don't think there's a clear-cut answer as far as it's concerned. As is true with most paranormal phenomenon, there's no clear-cut, yes, this is right, no, this is wrong, because it is a soft science. And a lot of people are just getting to know the world of the paranormal. A lot of studies haven't been conducted on these type of things because it was voodoo. It was considered to be of the devil and demonic and all of these other stigmatized situations. And no one would study them because if they did, well, they were considered to be a witch, or they were considered to be possessed, or something negative, and that's not the case at all. Shadow people are based on our own personal perceptions, just like everything else is in the paranormal world. In my personal opinion, I believe that in the months of October and in the late fall, the veil between this world and the next thins greatly. You can call it the revival of Halloween, you can say whatever you will, but there are a lot of earth changes that are going on around that time. The axis is tilting a different way, the magnetic fields are a little bit different. You have a lot of differences occurring in nature, especially in your northern, as far as the United States is concerned, as far as your northern portion of the continent. You have the season changing, you have trees changing, there's a metamorphosis occurring, not only here but all over the world, because the change in well, not so much gravity, but the axis changing, I believe, has a direct reflection upon what is happening in things that we cannot see. Now, I don't have proof of that. That's just a personal theory that I have. But I believe that the veil thins. And for some of us who are sensitives, the veil is always thin. But if you happen to see something out of the corner of your eye, don't dismiss it as it was your imagination. There are many times that spirits try to get our attention, even though they're failing miserably, because we have been tainted by the real world, so to speak. So always be open to possibilities. If you have a personal experience with shadow people, I am going to ask that you private message me on Facebook, or that you contact me through my website, which is traceeford.com, and share that with me. As you can see, you will remain anonymous. I will not share who you are. I believe that that's a very private situation, just like any religious situation. That's between you and your Creator. But if you have a situation or a circumstance that you'd like to share with me regarding shadow people, I would love to hear about it. And then I can do a follow-up with our next posting, which I believe, trying to see what our next posting will be, and I don't have it anywhere here with me. But I think it's going to be ghost attachments, from what I can remember. So we're down to twice a month. I believe it's the first Thursday and the third Thursday of each month. There will be a posting on my YouTube channel to talk about different things that are interesting, that we have questions about. The possibilities are endless, so don't forget that. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not possible. And the saying that I refer to all the time, and it's actually on my YouTube banner, is if it's beyond your understanding, it probably makes perfect sense. So I want to thank you for tuning in this evening. I appreciate you following along with the Bumps in the Night series. Welcome to the ongoing series, and I really don't have it titled yet, other than just paranormal talk as far as that's concerned. But thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.